Alright, just a quick video to show you what this Bluetooth emulator does. Starting from the upper left, RPM, you got your speed, and then the AFM voltage, which is the airflow meter. Then the next row, your pulse width of your injectors, engine coolant temperature in Fahrenheit, intake air temperature in Fahrenheit. Then the next row is the injector duty cycle. That's calculated, so it's not always truly representative of whether or not your injectors are at 100% or what percentage of duty cycle they're at. Then you've got battery voltage, the advanced for the timing, which is calculated based on the Hall window sensor, so it's not totally accurate. Then the next row, engine coolant temperature, is it connected? Your fuel pump, is it off or on? The throttle switch on the throttle body, whether it's on or off. And then is it in idle mode, which it calculates based on the throttle switch and other parameters. Then the next row is, was your engine coolant temperature connected at power up? That has to do with whether or not it goes into fixed timing or not. If it's not connected when you power up, it goes into a fixed timing mode. Start is your starter, if it's engaged, yes or no. And then you got the idle hot intake air temperature fuel adjustment. When it's above a certain intake air temperature, 92 degrees, it adds fuel since it's hot. And then your Hall signal, whether you're getting a valid Hall signal or not. Now to the upper right, you'll see fuel cut. That if you let off the gas, it'll go to yes when it's cutting out the fuel. Then you have the wide open throttle timer. It counts down to figure out when it needs to richen up. Next row is part load fuel enrichment. Next one is wide open throttle enrichment, if it's activated based on the timer above. And then the next row is the valid oxygen sensor reading, yes or no. And the next one is the fuel enrichment based on acceleration conditions. Then you'll see the gauge to the right that tells you the oxygen sensor. Millivolts tells you if it's lean or rich. And then down at the bottom, those two little gauges are the oxygen sensor integral term, which is the long-term correction to add or subtract fuel. So the oxygen sensor proportional term swings between a positive and negative number. And then you've got the oxygen sensor proportional term, which basically adds and subtracts fuel to cause the oxygen sensor reading to swing between about 0.1 to 0.9 volts. So let's go ahead and start it up, and you'll see the start on the bottom row go to yes when my starter is engaged. And then there we go. So now everything's settling in, and you'll see at idle, it's actually too cold right now. The engine coolant temperature is at 152.7. Needs to warm up a little bit. There it goes. So now you see the oxygen sensor starting to swing. The ECU is settling in. And we're at idle, but you'll see as I start speeding up and accelerating through the gears, you'll see all the action from the throttle switch, the oxygen sensor, the injectors, the timing. So here we go. First gear. It's kind of fun watching the oxygen sensor real time. And here we go, accelerating through first. Second gear will go wide open, and you'll see the timer counting down in the upper right. Lower it again in third, and then back to idle. So that's basically how it all works. It gives you a lot of good info for troubleshooting. You can see all the different parameters of what your engine is using to run properly. So overall, very pleased. Much better than the shoebox electronics box I was using previously. It is much more detailed, and it also does data logging, so you can record all of this and go back and look at any parameters you want and mark the data log, so that if you have some kind of engine problem, you can start looking at what parameter is going wrong. Is it the fuel? Is it the spark? Is your engine coolant temperature not being output properly? Your airflow meter? Whatever it may be, you can watch it all here. Kind of cool.